What is the famous line of your teacher that you'll never forget? It was a normal Tuesday morning in Mr. Henderson's math class during my junior year of high school. The classroom smelled faintly of chalk dust and old carpet, the kind of scent that clings to your clothes all day. Mr. Henderson was in his early 50s, wiry, and had the kind of voice that could be both soothing and terrifying depending on what mood he was in. Most days he was patient, though you could tell he had a temper lurking just under the surface. That day, we were working on our assignments quietly. The room was filled with the soft scratching of pencils and the occasional sigh when someone got stuck on a problem. I had always been prone to nosebleeds back then, and suddenly I felt that familiar trickle. I froze, gripping my paper and hoping it wouldn't get bad, but it did. I raised my hand timidly. "Mr. Henderson, may I go to the bathroom? I think I have a nosebleed." He looked up from his papers, squinting at me over his glasses. "Yeah, sure," he said casually, nodding. I gathered my things and headed out, my backpack bumping against my side as I walked down the long hallway. Most of the kids had already left for their next classes, and only a handful of students lingered near the lockers, chatting quietly. The hall was nearly empty, silent except for the distant hum of fluorescent lights. I could feel the blood running a little faster, and I tried to keep calm, pressing a tissue against my nose as I walked. That's when I heard it, the sound of the classroom door slamming open behind me. At first I thought maybe Mr. Henderson had forgotten something or was calling another student, but then the voice cut through the quiet like a whip. "Next time I hit you harder!" The words echoed down the hallway. My heart stopped. I froze in place, tissue pressed to my nose, wide-eyed. A few other students in the hall looked at each other in horror, their mouths opening and closing like fish out of water, unable to process what they had just heard. I turned slowly to glance back at the classroom. Mr. Henderson's face was red, his glasses slightly askew. The anger in his voice was so sudden, so sharp, that it made the hairs on my arms stand up. It didn't matter that I had been polite, that I had asked permission to leave. In that moment, I felt like a criminal caught in the act of something unspeakable. I didn't know whether to run, cry, or pretend like nothing had happened. My legs felt like lead, my pulse hammering in my ears louder than the echo of his words. The few kids in the hallway who had been casually talking just stopped, frozen, staring at him and then back at me. You could see the fear on their faces. Some of them shuffled closer to the lockers, as if proximity to a metal wall could protect them from whatever had just erupted. I just mumbled something like, "Okay," and kept walking toward the bathroom, trying not to look back. My nose was still bleeding, my hands shaking as I pressed tissue to it. I could hear Mr. Henderson muttering under his breath when I glanced over my shoulder, though the words were muffled and angry. When I got back to class a few minutes later, the room had fallen silent again. Everyone was staring at me, wide-eyed, as though expecting me to burst into tears or run screaming out of the room. Mr. Henderson was sitting at his desk, tapping his pen against the wood, his face slightly calmer now, but still taut with tension. He didn't acknowledge what had happened, and no one dared to bring it up. The line, "Next time I hit you harder," stuck with me immediately. Even years later, it comes to mind whenever I think about the strange, terrifying moments from high school. It was the kind of thing that makes you realize how fragile the boundary is between normalcy and complete chaos. One moment, you're quietly asking permission to leave, and the next, you feel like you've crossed some invisible line that only the teacher can see. For the rest of the semester, whenever anyone mentioned Mr. Henderson, I could hear that shout echoing in my head. It became the unspoken legend of the class, the line that every student remembered, the one that made everyone pause just a little longer before raising their hand. Even now, more than a decade later, I can picture the moment clearly, the nearly empty hallway, the few terrified students frozen in place, and Mr. Henderson's booming, terrifying declaration. It was surreal at the time, and somehow it remains unforgettable.